This video is how to analyze data in an MSA in Quantum Excel when you do not have an MSA template. There are two ways to set up data for data collection in Quantum Excel for an MSA. One is to use an MSA template. That is not this method. The second is to type the data in a very specific format into Excel and then analyze the data, and that is what this video is about. As a setup for this, you can see that in column A is operator appraiser. So those are two different names for the same thing. Then the second one is trial or replicate. And then the third one is the part number. And then there are three columns for the measurements. So they might be three different measurements on the same parts. For example, three features on the same part. Now, you don't have to have three different measurements, but that's really the advantage of using this as opposed to the template, is that we can have as many measurements as we want for the same MSA and only have it on one worksheet. If you were to use three different measurements when using the MSA template, you would have to have three different worksheets. It turns out that you actually don't need this trial or replicate when you do the analysis. However, it makes it much easier to do data entry and data collection. When you're ready, I would pre-select the range, so columns A through F, and then I click on MSA and then ANOVA. When I click on ANOVA, Quantum Excel is again ask me the data range. So if I had entered it incorrectly, I could enter it correctly now, but I have entered it correctly, and then I'm going to click on Next. When I click on Next, Quantum Excel will then ask me to choose the columns that are for operators, parts, and measurement data. Notice again that the trial or replicate is not being used. And Quantum Excel does its best job to guess, and it guessed correctly that the column that we want to use for operator is the column entitled Operator Appraiser. You can see that's the exact same title of the column heading over on the left. And then the column for part is designated in the column part. And then for measurement data, it found three columns that could potentially be used for measurement data. And so I'm going to click on all three, and what it will do is it will do all three MSAs simultaneously for three different metrics. I can optionally enter the spec limits. So I'm going to type in the upper spec limit is 103 and the lower spec limit is 97. And when I click on finish, Quantum Excel will create the MSA analysis for me for all three of them simultaneously. So there are now three new tabs. This tab is called My Gauge MSA ANOVA, and then the next tab is ANOVA 2, and the next tab is ANOVA 3. So it did all three of these simultaneously. Now, how you read the results of this, I'm going to reference you to a link in the description for the ANOVA analysis using the MSA template. But that is how you do the analysis of MSA data without an MSA template in Quantum Excel.